Mike Franzman and Chris Keys had written a bunch of songs together before the band even formed.
Once I had all the music done instrumentally and then I mixed it down, that was my demo, okay? And it was mastered on cassette. It was 1989. So I would show that cassette to Chris and I'd show him the music. Say William the Poet, I'd show him the music, right? And he'd listen to it. And he'd have headphones on. And he'd open his book, he had lyrics written out, and then he would just come out with something.
To be the question asked throughout life, Juliet answered it with a knife. One night, in the midst of summer, I wrote prose, got it straight with my drummer.
And the song came alive, you know. Then once we showed it to the band, there's some good musicians in that band, and they made it happen.
Mike Ranciato made the song Blind Justice at his house. I made the demo with Mike Franzman.
We sent that cassette all over the place. We ran off dubs of our cassette, made labels for the side and J cards.
I think we were trying to reel in and harness what Chris had.
Blind justice, style of you gonna knock at. You're dead wrong. I said you're dead wrong. Take it away, boys.
You know, just the mood at the time, you know, at the time period.
Terry was a big part of that.
Terry Thomas, Sweet Tea, what a friend. And he came in to the rock situation with me. He was brave enough to cross the border. And not everybody was. It was a completely foreign territory for his culture, you know, at that time. Robles was my dancer. Robles was my hype man. He would hype himself. He'd say, I'm the best dancer. And one of his legs was longer than the other one. He was a completely original person, man. He was like the white Flavor Flav.
Chris was always very ambitious about pushing this new style of music.
Rappers were doing it over tracks or over samples or just with the DJ. I feel like Chris might have invented have a live band in the room, and then he assembled the drummer, the bass player, the keyboard player. So what are we talking about? Okay, so we're talking about. I'm talking about what I'm talking about. It's Chris that he's talking about. So he doesn't own a shirt, and he wouldn't take one. We tried to give him a shirt.
Chris came out and there was a big entrance and he put on a show that was for a Coliseum.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy mackerel. We had more people in the band because he had quite an entourage. So we had dancers, everything was there. And I remember when we got done with that show, I thought, oh my gosh, if this guy could put on a show like that.
We came out strong and people enjoyed what they saw and the place erupted. Every person in the house stood up out of their chairs and lost their minds. They was like, wow, we've got something here.
Musician Magazine named Blind Justice one of the top 100 unsigned bands in America. Out of over 5,000 entries, we made it to number 9. And once that happened in print, record labels were calling on the landline and asking for cassettes and can they come to our shows, etc., etc. We were talking to Atlantic Records, Epic Records, Attic Records, MCA, Geffen, Epic Associates. I mean, it went on and on.
He was such a force. He really, part of that bringing rap and rock together was like, in my mind, I thought that was like where it was at. I thought that was like the inevitable evolution.
All God's children of hell carry the load. The flow, that's the force of the eagle. Brothers and the people, so like it like an eagle. I jump the jump, but like the draws is drawn back. The rhythm in your track, rock. You ready, rock is steady.
Chris was way ahead of his time.
It's unfortunate that we weren't 3 years later. I think Rage Against the Machine hit it just right, and I think Tom, while we're on the subject, I think Tom sort of took our blueprint from what he saw when we opened up for Lockup.
You gotta wonder.
The guy from Rage Against the Machine was in Lockup?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Tom was the guitarist in Lockup.
Wow.
And he was on the side of the stage like this through the whole...
It was kind of like nothing anybody had ever done.
I remember looking at the person next to me and saying, oh my God. And they didn't respond because their eyes were fixated.
It was like rock and rap and his wordplay.
We were part of the evolution of those genres coming together.
850 people there when they play. They're working off a cassette. They've got a cassette out. No record label, no promotions as far as I know, no budget. They're all showing up in a station wagon, and they're a monster.
And it was all done with no budget. There was no budget at all for any of those shows, and they would put on this massive, massive show. I always thought I had the best seat in the house.
Hi, my name is Brian Phelps, and I am the owner of Toad's Place, a 1,000 capacity nightclub in New Haven, Connecticut. We are currently celebrating our 50-year anniversary. Some of the best acts on the planet have played here. Some of those names are the Rolling Stones, Billy Joel, David Bowie, Bob Dylan, U2, Johnny Cash, Bruce Springsteen, James Taylor, R.E.M., Bon Jovi, Kendrick Lamar, Cardi B, Snoop Dogg, Michael Bolton, Drake, and many, many more. However, I'd like to talk about a Connecticut band that I have very special memories of. The name of the band is Blind Justice. Filled with emotion, devotion, and musical talent, the band had many great nights at Toad's. You always knew they had a connection with their fans by the smiles on everyone's faces throughout the night. As time moves on and thousands of artists having performed on our stage, Blind Justice stands out as a group to be remembered. I'd like to wish Blind Justice all the best